Guys, one of the problems that so many people have is they try and make everything symmetrical. Now, you may think that that's perfect. Symmetry is what we're looking for, and yes, symmetry for your physique is what we're trying to achieve, and will have you looking your best. But having a training program that's symmetrical can actually be one of the biggest mistakes you make. I know that might seem a bit weird, but let me explain. Most programs, have you training exactly the same number of times for each muscle group. So, it's symmetrical through the week. You maybe train your legs twice, your chest twice, your back twice, your shoulders twice, your arms twice, etc. And for a long time, I've sort of adhered to this. I liked everything nicely organised in a neat weekly package. We work on the 7-day week, and everything fitted perfectly into that. And it was a really symmetrical program. I've actually learned that this is less than ideal. Muscles are different. Each individual muscle has their own SRA curve. That's the stimulus recovery adaptation curve, which I've talked about in detail in another video. I'll put a link in that if you want to learn more about the SRA curve. But the amount of frequency a muscle group can take is different based on various factors. And all of the advice we get is pretty much blanket though, like, training for hypertrophy, train a muscle twice a week. Well, that's a pretty good guideline as an overview, but you want to look a little bit deeper than that. Sure, training your quads and hamstrings twice a week might be optimal, but is that ideal for your calves or your real delts? Probably not. I really believe it's a mistake to try and make everything so symmetrical and neatly packaged in your program. There's differences in muscle size, the muscle strength, its architecture, its function, its ability to generate tension, and its fibre type are all factors that will affect its SRA curve and the amount of time it takes to recover after training, also how much frequency therefore you should train it to be optimal. So you want to be training a muscle right at the peak of its adaptive cycle. So you train it, that creates fatigue and it requires recovery. It comes back up to baseline and then adapts a little bit, and just before that tails off, that's when you want to be training it again. Now these cycles are going to be different for different muscle groups. Just think about it, a tough quad session takes a lot more recovery than a tough bicep session. So these processes happen at different rates, and as a result you should tailor your training to that. So just as a quick guideline, in general, bigger muscles take longer to recover than smaller ones. So as I said, a quad session, or a hamstring session, really draining, your legs are sore for a few days afterwards. You can't train them for 72, maybe 96 hours probably. Wait 72 to 96 hours on your biceps, you probably missed out on potentially 2 training sessions in that time frame. When was the last time your biceps were really sore? That kind of indicates how much disruption you cause it. Not that much. Probably better to train them more frequently. So what I've actually liked to do now is what I call a variable training frequency system, so that the amount of times per week a muscle is trained is based on its characteristics and what it can recover from. So it might look like this as a general overview. The biceps, rear delts, lateral delts and calves train 4 days a week, tricep and back 3 times a week, and your chest, quads and hamstrings twice a week. Now, that for me works pretty well. It fits in with how I find my muscles recover. Remember that you'll be different, and some muscle groups that other people can train with great frequency, you can't, and vice versa. So I've tried training my chest more than twice a week, and actually it's just so sore it doesn't really work if I do more than that. But you might be able to train your chest 3-4 times a week. A little bit of experimentation, but don't get wrapped up in this everything has to be symmetrical approach and limit your progress. Think a little bit outside the box, use a variable training frequency, and get yourself growing at the fastest possible rate. If you want any more information, you've got any questions about this, feel free to drop me a comment or an email. I'll be happy to help you out. Catch you later, guys.